Hey, what's up, y'all? In this video, we're going to be talking about how to be an effective leader in the church, and I'm going to share with you a couple of principles that I've learned from Apple that are going to help you be a better leader in your church. All right, so have you ever noticed that there are some leaders who just are built different, right? There's some companies that just seem to be different as well, right? Man, look at the way Martin Luther King was able to lead the civil rights movement in the 1960s, right? Or the Wright brothers. How the heck did two brothers from Ohio figure out manned flight when so many other people around the country were better funded and trying to figure it out? Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak literally started Apple in a garage, and it took the world by storm. Why are some of these people and these companies just built different? Well, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about in this video, and how you can use those principles to be a more effective leader in your church. So let's dive in. Okay, so as it turns out, there's actually a pattern that great leaders and great companies use to inspire people all over the world. So let's dive in and kind of take a look at exactly what that is. Now, Simon Sinek was the first one to actually identify this and kind of codify it. And here's what he found. He found that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So Simon Sinek discovered this pattern, and it might be one of the world's simplest ideas, right? So basically, it's called the golden circle. So if you draw three circles inside each other, kind of looking like a bullseye, on the outside circle, that's the what. And just about everybody knows what they do. And then the inside circle is how. And a lot of people know how they do it, their proprietary system or their unique mechanism or the different way that they run their organization. But great leaders and great organizations start with the very center of the circle, which is why. So you go what, how, why. And very few organizations know why they do what they do. But this is something that can completely change your leadership when you learn the principle and start to apply it, especially in your church. So by why, I mean, what's your belief? What's your cause? What's your purpose? What are you doing that makes you different than everyone else out there? So most people communicate what they do, but great leaders and organizations start with the inside of the circle and talk about why they do it first, because people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So take a look at Apple. If Apple were like everyone else, then a marketing message from them might sound something like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? And that's how most of us communicate in our churches, right? We tell people, hey, we've got church this Sunday at 10 o'clock. And that's how most of us communicate about our church. We say, hey, I'm the pastor of Faith Church, and we meet over here at 71st and Mingo at 10 a.m. Want to come? So we say what we do, but we don't say why we're different. And this is something that can completely revolutionize the way that you talk about your church and how you attract people. So if Apple were like everyone else, that's how they would communicate. But here's how Apple actually communicates. In everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way that we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? It's got a completely different feel. All they did was start with the why. They still said the same thing. They still talked about what they did in the great computers, but they flipped it and they talked about the why first. So this is why Apple is so good at what they do. This is why every single person watching this video probably feels comfortable not only buying a laptop from Apple, but an iPhone and an iPod and an iPad instead, right? We don't buy it for them, we buy it for ourselves because we line up with the same values that they do. When they communicate like that, we say, hey, I believe in thinking differently too. I also believe in challenging the status quo. And because we identify with their why, we're comfortable buying all of their products. I don't know about you, but I give Apple way too much money every single time a new product comes out. All right, so let me give you an example of this same exact thing, the what versus the why in a church context. So I recently came across two very different church websites. So on the first one, the very first thing you saw on the website was this. It is vitally important that churches remain doctrinally pure. Nearly every New Testament book includes some form of warning against false teaching. The points of our statement of faith are not exhaustive to what we believe, but do provide safety rails for preserving sound doctrine. Now, while that might be what they believe, and that may or may not be true, it's not exactly inspiring, right? How many people read that and went, oh my gosh, I gotta go to church on Sunday, right? But check out what church number 2 did. The second church website was for a church called Crossroads Church, and here was the first thing that you saw on their website. You were born for adventure. You were born to make a difference, designed to partner with God to change the world for good. If that sounds like your type of adventure, then Crossroads is your spiritual outfitter. Whoa, totally different, right? Now take a look at the first website to the second. What's the difference? Well, in the first website, they're just kind of talking about the what. But in the second one, man, they're talking about the why. They're talking about you as you're reading the website, right? You were born for adventure. You were designed to partner with God to change the world for good. Man, that sounds awesome, right? And what happens is if we believe that too, we line up with that. So when you talk about what you believe, you attract other people who believe what you believe. So people that do believe that we were born for adventure, that we were born to make a difference, those people are going to be attracted to that church. I'm telling you, if I was in that area, I wouldn't even look at any other churches. That's the very first church I'd visit. All right, so before I get to my last couple of points, if you like this video, would you make sure to subscribe? We put together fresh videos on church leadership and social media and technology and church growth, and we're literally dropping brand new videos every single day. So make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell icon so you get notified every single time we drop a new video. Have you ever heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley? Most likely you have no idea who he is, right? And there's a reason for that. So back in the early 1900s, figuring out this idea of man-powered flight was actually a really popular idea, right? The Wright brothers weren't the only ones to do it. In fact, there were tons of people who were trying this. And Samuel Pierpont Langley had actually been contracted by the government, given $50,000 and then access to some of the brightest minds in the world to be able to figure out manned flight, right? So why is it that you've never heard of Samuel Pierpont Langley? Well, it's because his why, the reason he wanted to figure this out, is because he wanted to become rich, he wanted to become famous. That's it. But if you go down to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, you would find the Wright brothers, who actually used the profits from their bicycle shop to put into their side hobby, which was figuring out this flying machine. And they believed passionately that man had to figure out how to fly, that this could completely change the world. And so they didn't care about the riches or the fame. They wanted to do this because they knew it moved the human race forward. And so every single day after working at the bicycle shop, before dinner, they would go out and they would take 5 different sets of parts, because that's how many times they would crash before they came in for dinner. And lo and behold, after crashing over and over and over and failing time and time again, one day in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, the Wright brothers took flight. The rest of the world found out about it a couple of days later. And you know what happened to Samuel Pierpont Langley? He quit. He wasn't first, he wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, so he quit. Now, he could have literally said, oh my gosh, this is incredible. This is gonna move humanity forward. I'm gonna take their technology and I'm gonna improve upon it, and I'm gonna use the money I have from the government and all of these incredible scientists and engineers, and we're gonna make this even better. But he didn't, because his why was just to get rich and famous. He didn't care, so he quit. And that's why history will never remember his name, unless you decide to do a YouTube video about what not to do. All right, so if you found this video valuable and you'd like to learn more about how to use social media and technology to grow your church, click on the link in the description below or head on over to churchgrowthagency.com. We've got a free gift for you. We'll see you soon.